Hey family, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Okay, so I want to start out by saying that one of the main reasons why I'm doing this particular video, you saw the title, is because one of my most amazing, and let me tell you, I got my little notes right here, y'all, so I'm gonna try not to miss no points. That's why I got it right here. But anyway, one of my most wonderful long-term soulmate clients have brought it to my attention. Okay, shout out to you. You know who you are, Ethan. Okay. And what he said to me was, I really wish that, he said that he had been thinking to himself that I really wish Ann would do more videos. And, that really made me think. And it made me realize, like, oh, wait, there are people out here that are wanting to hear from me. And that was literally the inspiration and the motivation I needed to do this video. It became, as I was sitting there praying and talking to God, like, okay, what should I do my next video on? And then, this is what God brought to me, okay? So, thank you. Thank you, Ethan. And another reason why I'm doing this video is because it's going to be kind of therapeutic for me as well, needed and essential, because if you really know me, and let me tell you, oh my God, I got my tissues, y'all, because I said this time, I'm not gonna be cross-slipping. I feel like I'm about to cry already. Good Lord. Like, I'm such a crier, okay, because I'm a Cancer sun, that's water sign, and that's all about feelings. On top of that, my moon is in the 12th house, okay, and that's spiritual, mental, and emotional understandings is the 12th house. And also, I'm a Scorpio rising, okay, which is also another water sign. It rules the 8th house of, like, evolution and transformation. So anyway, that's another story. We're gonna get to that another time. But I got my tissues because I knew I was going to start crying. And this is the thing, like, this is kind of, like I said, kind of therapeutic for me because, okay. How do I get this all out? Okay, I got my points here. Let me use my points. Okay, I'm going to start with 2012. And I'm going to try to get all this out in 30 minutes. I don't know how, because it's so much that I want to say about this and so much I can say about this. And so if I don't get it all out in 30 minutes, it might be a part 2. I don't know. But here's to hoping that I get it all out in 30 minutes, okay? So in 2012, okay, if you know me, you know me, and you know my story, but there's a lot of people who don't. And that's part of why I'm also doing this video. I've been through several evolutions when it comes to my spiritual beliefs and my spiritual understanding. And honestly, it's kind of challenging to be someone like me. And I know that this is who God made me to be. I've kind of had a difficult start from the beginning, okay? But obviously my soul knew what I was getting into when I decided to incarnate through my mother, okay? And being born to a woman who, when I was, conceived, she was 16. And the man she was with was a grown man, right, at the time. My biological father. And when she had me, she was 17 and still in high school. And so I was born to a teenage mother. And not only was I born to a teenage mother, but also she was abused by her own father for several years starting at the tender age of 9. And I don't just mean physical abuse, but if you go through my videos, you can see some videos about that topic there. Okay, so I might put some links so you can go and look at that, but I digress. So you can imagine, like, if you can imagine being a teenage mother who's been abused and in all sorts of ways, by your own father, you can imagine the kind of turmoil that must be going on in your mind when this has happened to you. And you can imagine giving birth to a child, being a mother to a child, when there's no way, shape, or form you've, healed from that. Okay. So you can imagine my beginning with just that. And I'm going to leave it at that because I think I've already talked about that before. If not, if you want me to talk about it some more, I will put it in the comments or something, or inbox me. But I will just say that I went through several evolutions of my spiritual beliefs. And by the time I say 2012 came, I decided to just kind of like wash myself clean of everything I perceived or thought about God, about religion, about spirituality. And I just decided to, because this is something they don't really teach you in school. This is something they don't really teach you in the church. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to dive into learning more about the world's take on God and spirituality. And so in 2012, I just discarded everything I once knew and everything I once believed in to delve into everything. And I studied Egyptian spirituality. I studied African spirituality. I studied Hinduism. What is it? It started with a B. I forgot the word, but Buddhism. There you go. I studied Buddhism. And it's like I was looking at everything. And I also decided, you know what, I'm going to delve into everything that the church says is bad and see what happens. Because at the time, I was really suffering. And it's crazy because I was in and out of the church and I was still not seeing growth inside of me. I was still very unhappy. I was still very depressed all the time. I was crying all the time, which I'm a crier anyway. But it was like deep type of depression, crying, the type where you can't get out of bed. Literally, like that's where being in the church brought me. By the time 2012 came, I was in the bed. I was crying all the time. I could barely get out of bed most of the time. I cried almost every night and no one knew. Literally, like I can understand when it's like you hear certain phrases and you think it's just a phrase, like the phrase that you in your bed crying every night. No, literally, I was crying every night. And then that's what brought about, and that was in 2012. Okay, boom, discard everything. You got to figure this out, girl. What's going on with you? What's going on inside of you? What is this? Right? So that's when I delved into all of the things I just told y'all about. Knowledge of things. And that's when I also dug deeper into understanding where the Bible comes from. And that's how I came to everything that I understand about the Bible, right? With the fact of the missing books, with it being revised, with things being taken out, things being put in, different things like that. And then, like I said, I started delving into everything that the church said is bad, which was tarot, astrology, yoga, getting in tune with nature. Like I wasn't doing that before, and then I just started doing all of these things, and I could see like this gradual change inside of me. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right here. I am at the right place at the right time. I'm supposed to be trying to understand myself spiritually here. Like, what is this God? Why am I here? What are why am I hurting all the time? Why am I crying all the time? Why isn't the church doing it for me here? Why isn't the Bible helping me here? What am I missing? And that was when I got into tarot and astrology and everything. And I'll never forget how my life started to gradually change, like from the inside first. And I started crying a whole lot less. I ain't gonna say it left me completely, but I started crying a whole lot less, right? And I can even remember, like, that 11:11 thing is so real, y'all. Because I can remember during that time, I was laying in bed, and it was almost, excuse me, y'all, I got my water here. It's water, it's not wine, even though I do drink wine, don't judge me. This is water. But, like I was saying, I remember it was like a force, right? I literally, like, I can never forget this because it's the one and only time well, it happened a few times at that time, but I'm just saying that instant was the only time that ever really happened like that. I was like, something literally just rose me up out of the bed. Like, literally, I woke up, my eyes, I'm like looking around like, why am I sitting up? Like, I literally felt myself like something just sat me. I'll try to explain it the best way I can, but this is probably, I mean, this is the best way I can explain it. Like, something literally like sat me up in the bed, and I opened my eyes and I'm looking around like, what the hell was that, right? And I looked at the clock and it was 11:11, and I was like, okay, I let it go. I was like, it was just a fluke. I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, it's just some, things happen, whatever have you. So I laid back down. Then it happened again. Boom, something just suddenly rose me up out the bed. And when I looked at the time, it was 1:11. I was like, what is, okay, this is really strange. And I'm thinking to myself, like, something like, okay. So even when that happened, I still was thinking, oh, that's just a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? That's just a coincidence, whatever, what have you. So then this happened at least 3 to 4 consecutive nights in a row where I was waking up at either 11:11 out of nowhere or 1:11. And then during the day, I started realizing that every time I would like look at my watch, just happen to look at my watch, it's 11:11. Or I would be on my computer and I happen to look up and see the time, it's 11:11 or 1:11. So that really sparked me. I'm like, something's going on here? So then I started looking up, why am I seeing 11:11? And that's when I gained my realization and understanding of there's something to numerology, which that's even in the Bible, y'all. There's a whole chapter called numbers in the Bible, and even a pastor will tell you that numbers are important. Like, it's seriously, the Bible talks about how numbers are important. Numbers are always mentioned in the Bible. So anyway, that's when I started to realize, oh, there's something to numerology. So then I started studying numerology. I started getting into why people see 11:11, stuff like that. Like, I'm a real story of how 11:11 came. I'm not just making it, like, there's a lot of people that be like, I see 11:11, I saw 11:11. No, I got some real, like, that was very supernatural. Anyway, so, but now when I start to see 11:11 and 1:11, I understand what it means to myself, because I understand the basic symbolism personally for myself for why I'm seeing 11:11. Okay, so anyway, my first deck of cards was actually cartomancy. I actually began with cartomancy through an actual deck of playing cards. And I was like, oh, I'm really feeling this, this is really, I like this. I felt very resonant with it, right? So for 2 years, I was just kind of like practicing my craft. I was doing a lot of connecting with nature, meditating outside in nature, doing a lot of connecting with the grass, and I was doing a lot of research and studying astrology and different things like that. So in 2014 is when I decided, you know what? Let me see if I can do this and gain clients and stuff. Let me see if I can make a business out of this. And so literally I started doing cards, casting lots in 2014. And I started with like a Craigslist ad. Literally, like, I put out, I didn't even have a website at the time. I was literally doing readings from like a post from Craigslist. At that time, Craigslist was popping a lot at that time. And I was gaining clients just from people seeing my posts on Craigslist. And I was like, oh, these people, because it was people like, oh, can I get more reading from you? Like, I love the way you read, da 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 and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is okay. This might be my gift here. This might be a talent I have, da da da. So as time passed by, I was still doing readings just from Craigslist. And then eventually I did decide to open up a website. Like, I am a risk taker, so like I like to take chances. I'll take chances, and I don't care if it works out or not. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do it, whatever the case may be. So when I started doing readings from a website, it was working. That's all I can say. It was working, okay? It was working. Okay. So let's see. What's the next point I wanted to talk about here? Okay, is that the part? Okay, I think we'll go to this next point right here. So I was getting really good feedback. People was in my inbox saying, oh my gosh, you're great. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, I can do this, right? Not really thinking about how society or the world would view that, because I can admit that when I first started, there were different situations that were brought to me from people. For example, like people in my inbox saying, oh, you're a witch, and doing all this other. Okay, listen, there's so much I can say about that part. But it's to the point now where I understand how to deal with that. And I don't really get that as much now at all, because the world is changing, the world is evolving, people, there's more knowledge out here. Like, it makes no sense for people to not know things, okay? Because it's so easy to gain knowledge out here. So nowadays, I don't hear about those things so much as like, even like, for example, every now and then, I will say every now and then, I do get a little something, right? Like, last week or so, like it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? A girl jumped in my inbox and she was like, you not no prophet because you use crystals. I said, what? Now the old me would have probably just like blocked her, which most of the time that's what I do, because I don't have the space, the time, or the energy to sit there and go back and forth with people, arguing with people. That's not my mission. That's not my purpose. That's not what I'm going to do. Right? I'm not going to debate about my beliefs. I really don't. So, and then I said, no, I'm going to use this as a teachable moment for her, for this person. So, sometimes they say you got to choose your battles wisely, right? Because, like I always say, you can find scriptures in the Bible that are both for and against it. So that's why I don't even, it's pointless, because it's something that you have to understand for yourself, right? And I believe that one of the reasons why they started saying, I have several understandings of why certain things about casting lots and different things like that are, divination and all that other stuff in the Bible. Because at the same time, though, prophets were appointed in the church. Prophets were also appointed in the villages. Like, when the villagers, come on, common sense, when the villagers couldn't go to the church or to the temple and summon the priests couldn't see them, or the prophet couldn't see them to give them what they needed, they went to their village prophet. Like, and even those people who were like the village prophets were used by God for kings, for different circumstances and situations, different stories in the Bible, and yet at the same time it tell you it's wrong. So that's why you have to have common sense and discernment. This path is definitely not for everybody, but it takes a whole lot of courage and bravery to be who you truly are. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, because let me get my tissue. Oh my God. Why am I such a crier? Like, I know why I'm just saying that from a human perspective, but my intentions are pure. And I say that to say that, oh, I almost forgot because I was talking about, look, I got distracted because I was talking about how even like 2 or 3 weeks ago, the girl had came in my inbox and said, you're not a prophet, you're a witch because you use crystals. And then I told her, I said, see, this is what you don't understand. This is what happens. And this is what I told her. I said, this is what happens when people don't read the Bible for themselves and they just believe and regurgitate everything that people say, and they don't study, they don't research the word. This is what I told her. I said, so I'm going to give you a little tidbit. I'm going to give you a little bit of knowledge, and then you go and you do the rest, right? I said, do you know that the temple and church appointed prophets used crystals to give you your prophecy? They used items. They didn't just out of the thin air. Some can do that now. Some can do that. But most actually needed a tool. And I told her, I said, and baby, it was crystals that they used. It was called an ephod and an ermine and thummim. And I told her that. And I said, now go research that. Because it's in the word. The ephod was a vest with a whole bunch of crystals on it that helped them tune into God. They even had an ermine and thummim. This is an instrument that was used. And even the people in the village and the prophets in the village, they used items to discern. Even, I think it was either Saul or Samuel, used sheep wool. And he asked God, he said, if this sheep will turn into a certain direction, because obviously they didn't have tarot then, but they used items. And he said, if this lands in a certain way, then God, I know you want me to do this and such. This is literally in the Bible. And he did it one time, got the answer, and he said, God, you know how sometimes we need more confirmation. He said, God, I'm gonna do it again, and if it do it the same way, I know you're talking, and it did. I'm like, baby, that's in the Bible. That's all I can tell you. I read it and I was shocked. My eyes got wide. I'm like, wow, okay. But anyway, that's not the whole point of this video anyway. So moving on from there, because I actually do have a video talking about divination, which I probably should get into it more, but I'll link it. So 2014, and this is 2024. So basically I've been doing readings for 10 years now. And as time went on and business started picking up for me and my reputation remained intact and still does to this day, I started to kind of adopt this philosophy that I am God. Like there was like at this time where I was really, going further in my craft, further in my skill, I was starting to adopt the philosophy that I am God, and the only thing that's helping me in this life is me and my ancestors, right? And I mean, that's only a minuscule part of where you get your help from, to be honest. But anyway, this is why I don't believe in, and let me tell you, this is why I don't believe in the whole I am God philosophy, because even though the word says, and the word says a lot of things, y'all, but even though the word says ye are gods, I mean, the common sense to that is this. If we were truly gods, then there would be no need for us to experience hurt, pain. We would have everything we want. We would all be rich. We would all be living in paradise. If we were gods, if we were really gods, y'all, then anything we want will come to us at any time, because that's what gods are capable of doing, right? They're capable of, there's no need for a god to worry, right? Because they can make anything come to them, right? And there will be no need for hurt and pain, right? And so even though I do believe that God is in us, and I believe that because God is, and the reason how I believe that is, you have to believe that God is inside of you as well, because God is omnipotent. I believe that God is an energy, a force that is so wide and big that it's almost unexplainable. There's no way that we will know everything that there is to know about God in this lifetime, right? No. And it also leads us to the understanding that we are here for a reason that is much greater than to be walking around talking about I am God. Okay? Because when you walk around with that mentality of I am God, it starts to get inside of you to the point where you think you don't need anyone else. You don't need anything else. I got my ancestors. I got my Baba Lual or whatever. I got my God in me. I am God. You know. Oh my God. Okay. When I went through, we had 25 minutes. I'm gonna see how long my phone go, y'all. If it cut off, it's gonna be a part 2 because I gotta get all this out. I gotta get all this out, okay? I'm trying to be as transparent as possible as I can on this video, okay, y'all? So, and as a Scorpio rising, that can be kind of hard because we like to conceal what we're really feeling and things you will never know. Like you will never know all of the trials and tribulations that I've had to endure, but I digress. What was I saying? The moment that made me realize that I am surely not God and that my ancestors, that I'm gonna need a little bit more than the ancestors to help me right now, was when my ex-husband of 17 years abandoned me. And I don't have to go all into details about that because I think I already did. If not, I don't know, maybe another time I will. But it was in that situation where I realized that there has got to be something greater than the God inside of me. Okay? And what people don't understand is that when you decide to believe in God, you're believing in something supernatural. Like that word is in the Bible. That it's a spiritual thing, right? Honestly, because you really can't literally see God, right? You can't just pinpoint God and be like, oh my God, God is standing there. There goes God right there. Hey, what's up, God? Like, you can't do that. So you're literally believing in something that you can't really see. And sometimes people take that out of the equation like it's a spiritual thing. So I was like, there's got to be something, because I'm going to be honest, like, I was ready to end my life. Where was my ancestors? Where was this I am God now? As I'm on my knees, crying and begging God to help me. I was at such a low point that everything that transpired after that let me know that there is a God outside of us as well. And this is the understanding that God wanted me to gain, because it's okay to believe, I guess, that you are God and that God is in you. But you need to also believe that there's a God outside of you. Because if you believe in God, then you must believe in an energy and a force that's omnipresent, which is everything, which is everywhere, which is huge. This God is huge. This God is bigger than your physical vessel. And am I still going? Like, I might be able to keep going. If it cut off, y'all already know the deal. Like, I don't know, I might go to 40 minutes. Because I gotta have room in my phone. I'm gonna post this part 1. And then I'll probably erase it and post part 2. Anyway, I'm even talking to myself, y'all. Anyway, I'm talking to y'all too. But listen. I was so torn up. And y'all, all of this happened in the same month. Like, my grandmother died. Shortly after that, this is all in the same month, mind you, my grandmother died, with who I hadn't seen in a while because of different reasons, discord with the family, so on and so forth. And that's another story. and and then shortly after that, my daughter and my grandchild got into a near fatal car accident. It's only, I know by the grace of God, that they basically made it out unscathed. They had some little things going on that they had to deal with. And I can remember going through that, and then at the same time finding out that my ex-husband was like living a double life and had a whole fiance. Okay. And I can remember staying up all night praying to God, please let my grandchild be all right, because they had said that they were afraid that she had some bleeding in the brain and that they might have to go in and do da 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 da. And I was like, then they was gonna find out in the morning if that was what they needed to do. Oh my God, I stayed up all night praying, and I was begging God, please spare my grandchild. And I was in my bed crying about this by myself. I had no one, because guess where my at the time husband was, now ex-husband, on a trip with another woman. Part 2 coming, y'all.